Namaste, I hope that you're doing well. We will be covering out res judicata and res sub judice in this lecture. Open your Bare Act of CPC to section 10 and section 11 so that you can make a quick reference when I get to the sections. Whatever pointers that I'm going to give you, you will need to make bullet points of them and expand on those because this tackles out one of your mains का answers prelims के तो of course you will always have to remember कि res sub judice is given where and res judicata is given where. That's standard sections to rote learn from the CPC. जो मेंस का जो स्टैंडर्ड जो क्वेश्चन आता है जो अलग अलग नंबर्स में आता है, नंबर्स इन द सेंस whichever state that you're attempting, differentiate between res sub judice and res judicata. Whatever I'm going to tell you in this lecture needs to go into your answer. Of course, you will have to conceptually understand it always. Res, now what does res mean? Res means a thing, object or matter, right? So res is anything that is in contention. Sub judice, res sub judice. Sub judice means under judicial consideration, therefore prohibited from public discussion. सब कुछ लिख लीजिए. All right, keep on pausing and keep on playing it back if you need to. Res sub judice is given in section 10 of the CPC. Now, what is a thing? Thing can be a property, a right or matter. Whatever you are contesting in court becomes the res. Res actually, res कहूँगा मैं pronunciation in Latin because वहाँ पे res की pronunciation में raise हो जाएगा. लेकिन वो RAYS वाला English में अगर मैं Latin में मतलब pronunciation के हिसाब से पढ़ दूँ तो it will be raise, right? बट रेस जूडिकाटा इंग्लिश में ही चलते हैं. जूडिकाटा मीन्स ऑलरेडी जज्ड, इस पे डिसीजन आ चुका है, ये मैटर डिसाइडेड है. वी विल नॉट नाउ गो अगेन इनटू दिस primarily to save time. That is given in section 11 of the CPC. So 10 is sub judice, 11 is ये आपका res judicata. Always these two need to be absolutely on your tips. All right. In the next lecture I'll come back to my order वाली series. By the way मैं अभी भूल नहीं रहा उसको. कृपया करके जो मैं आपको बताए जा रहा हूँ उसको आप systematically get this bare act, not in its entirety. No, we do not do that. We do not approach this exam like that. Otherwise 5 जन्म लग जाएंगे इसको करते करते. From an exam point of view, the most important stuff I'll make sure is on your fingertips. All right. So रेस जुडिकाटा रेस सब जुडिस, ठीक है जी. यहाँ पे जो मामला है, जो मुद्दा है, जो लिटिगेशन का जो मेन जो सब्जेक्ट मैटर है, that is still under consideration by a court. It has not been decided yet. Res judicata में उस पे decision आ चुका है. It has already been decided. So hopefully now it is clear. The main distinction is this only. Rest of the stuff is ancillary. This is the core. All right. So this is given in section 10. This is given in section 11. The main thing is the matter is pending. So there are two suits here. We'll come to those suits. Those two suits. यहाँ पे matter pending है. यहाँ पे the previous matter is already adjudicated on. Alright. Now open your Bare Act to section 10. Let us see what stay of suit means. No court, no means including everything, every court shall proceed with the trial of any suit. इसको underline कर लीजिए, with the trial of any suit. It does not say institution of any suit. It says trial of any suit, in which the matter in issue is also directly and substantially in issue in a previously instituted suit between the same party. So there are two suits here. There is one known as previously instituted suit and then there is one जो कि अभी present मुद्दा है जिसके ऊपर we are considering a plea or under section 10 as will be applied by the Vakil Sahab. All right. Between the same parties, this is pointer number 1. Anytime that you're writing a mains ka answer, all right, any damn time that you're doing that, break down the section such as this. Pointer number 1, how do you break down the section? So of course you'll write section 10 stay of suit. Let us say that you are writing mains of a state where bare acts are not provided. So in DJS of course bare acts are provided. However, now these two sections, they need to be on your fingertips, whether you're writing DGS का mains or any damn mains. Alright. अब इसको तोड़ेंगे कैसे? Pointer number 1, no court. Pointer shall proceed with the trial of any suit. Now trial है, institution नहीं है, so that means the suit can be instituted. However, we cannot proceed with the trial. So that's pointer number 2 that you'll have to tell to the examiner that you know this and you know it far better than your competition, because at the end of the day this is a competitive exam in which क्या matter in issue is also directly and substantially in issue. So matter in issue is directly and substantially in issue in a previously instituted suit between the same parties. So this is, this, when I tell you how do you break down the section, you tell the examiner in bullet points what are the ऊपर लिख देना ingredients of the section और ये 3 pointer mark out कर देना. Between the same party, matter in issue, trial of any suit. Matter कौन सा, directly and substantially in issue, that's just about it. Alright, instituted between the same parties or between parties under whom they or any of them claim litigating under the same title. That primarily means one aspect is the representatives, where such suit is pending in the same or any other court in India, have jurisdiction to grant the relief claimed. So basically the jurisdiction of that, the previous court has to be correct, or in any court beyond the limits of India established or continued by the central government and having like jurisdiction or before the Supreme Court. Nothing much more to do from here. However, trial of suit between the same parties in the same or any other court. So there are courts of concurrent jurisdiction here. There are other courts involved here as well. We'll just get to all of that. Okay. Explanation: the pendency of a suit in a foreign court does not preclude the courts in India from trying a suit founded on the same cause of action. So just because a suit is being tried in a foreign court, next lecture will come to foreign judgments as well. That will explain this explanation. However, you need to remember that just because a suit is pending abroad, it does not preclude the courts in India from trying a suit founded on the same cause of action. This is a pre-ka standard question. They can ask you this in two ways. Consider the following statements. Which of the following are true, incorrect or incorrect? Mark it out. ये fun fact याद रखना है. इसके ऊपर स्टार लगा के make a note in your notebook. All right. Then we come to res judicata. So no court shall, देखिए, no court shall proceed with the trial of any, no court shall try any suit or issue in which the matter directly and substantially in issue has been directly. So just note down the tenses. Has been directly and substantially in issue. All right. In which the matter in issue is also directly and substantially in issue. देखिए, note करिएगा. Of course, इसके ऊपर हमें कोई examiner को depending. This is for our own understanding as to how law works, because this will help you in reading other sections of any act that you pick up. Matter in issue is, has been. एक में टाइगर अभी जिंदा है इन सेक्शन 10. ऑलराइट, टाइगर जी अभी जिंदा है वहां पर. एक में एक टाइगर खत्म हो चुका है. दैट इज व्हाई हैज बीन डायरेक्टली एंड सब्सटैंशियली इन इश्यू इन अ फॉर्मर सूट between the same parties or between parties under whom or any of them claim litigating under the same title in a court competent to try such subsequent suit. Okay. Or the suit in which the issue has been subsequently raised and has been heard and finally decided by such court. Meaning, अगर उस कोर्ट की jurisdiction बिल्कुल ठीक है जहाँ पे पुराने वाले में जो previous suit जहाँ पे लगा था, and if it is absolutely bang on correct and the matter in issue has been decided, it will operate, that decree or that decision overall will operate as a res judicata in the new suit that the parties have now instituted. All right. So no court shall try any suit or issue which the courts are barred from doing this, in which the matter directly and substantially has been in issue, has been, और वहां पर क्या था, is also directly and substantially in issue. ये बहुत तगड़ी बात है. एक के अंदर टाइगर जिंदा है, एक के अंदर टाइगर गुजर चुका है. All right, let us move on. So section 10. सबसे पहली बात, now we make bullet pointers for our own एक तो conceptual clarity and things that जितनी भी याद रहे और जितना भी आपके पास टाइम हो in mains to write it. All right. So section 10 is rule applies to trial and not the institution of the suit. ये पहला पॉइंटर, ये लिखना है. ये एग्जामिनर को पता होना चाहिए कि आपको पता है. Second pointer, it does not preclude the court from passing any interim orders. आपने ही तो कहा था जी, सेक्शन ने कहा with the trial of any suit. However, can the court pass any interim orders? Yes, it can. For example, let us say any injunction, let us say any stay or any appointment of let us say a receiver or any stuff such as that, it applies to appeals and revisions. Section 10 याद रखना, it applies to appeals and revision कि पिछला वाला तो अभी डिसाइड हुआ नहीं, दूसरे वाले के अंदर आकर पता नहीं कौन सी अपील की आप बात करें. So it applies to appeals and revisions. We will now just go into what all these two concepts apply to and what all these two concepts do not apply to. If the question comes on distinguish between res judicata and res sub judice, you can also make a table की difference क्या क्या है and give the broad pointers to the examiner. All right, make the examiner's life as easy as possible, as easiest as possible, so that they give you the maximum amount of marks. All right. Now, as always, in every answer on any section that you're explaining or any concept of the section that you're explaining, like for example, let us say that you're explaining section 53A of the TPA 1882, in which part performance is given, or section 52 in which list pendants is given. Please always, whenever you are writing a commentary on the section, object A and ingredients of the section B both have to go in your answer, क्योंकि वो यही मांग रहा है आपसे नेट जब वो आपको एक कमेंट्री करने का. So what is the object of the section is to prevent courts from concurrent jurisdiction from simultaneously entertaining and adjudicating upon. I'm dictating this to you. You may not understand my handwriting. That is all right. मेरी बात सुन लीजिए and just write it down. To prevent the courts from concurrent jurisdiction, to prevent the courts of concurrent jurisdiction कर लेते हैं, इसको from नहीं करते, from simultaneously entertaining and adjudicating upon two parallel litigations in respect of same cause of action, same subject matter and same relief. एक litigation चल रही है, दूसरी उसी पे आपने parallelly चला दी, whether in the same court or whether in a different court of course of concurrent jurisdiction. How does this work? कोर्ट के पास कितना टाइम है, और फिर फाइनली जब डिसीजन अगर दोनों में आ गए तो कौन सा वाला अप्लाई होगा. So to prevent that, res sub judice exists. All right. Then the second object is to confine plaintiff to one litigation, eliminating possibility of two contradictory verdicts in respect of same relief. Now, tomorrow I sincerely hope that you do become a magistrate or a judge of junior division or whatever it is. आपका जो व्यू पॉइंट है वो जिंदगी में डिफरेंट होगा वर्सेस योर colleagues, that is your fellow judges. It can be that with the same story and the same law applied, maybe both of you give different reliefs. So we want to confine the plaintiff to one litigation, eliminating possibility of two contradictory verdicts in respect of the same relief. Then third is जो section में लिखा था, matter in issue is directly and substantially in issue. So the matter in controversy is the same. Section 10 applies. If it is different, section 10 does not apply. So we'll just have to check in both the suits. It is your duty as the master of the court, you can say, or the ruler of the courtroom, to check whether the matter in controversy, that is mainly the matter in issue, is the same or different before going ahead with allowing a plea, because this will come from the defendant side that, sir, is pe res sub judice, this matter is res sub judice, how are you listening to it? Because section 10 of the CPC bars you from trial, not institution of the suit. ठीक है जी? Okay. Now section 10 does not bar institution and only trial if certain conditions are fulfilled. Therefore subsequent suit cannot be dismissed, it can only be stayed. Section 10 का टाइटल क्या है? स्टे ऑफ द सूट है या डिसमिसल ऑफ द सूट? स्टे ऑफ द सूट की भाई इस पर रुको, पहले पीछे वाले का डिसीजन आने दो, क्योंकि वी विल नॉट अलाउ यू टू कंटिन्यू विद टू पैरेलल लिटिगेशंस. कोर्ट के पास टाइम कहाँ, फिर ऐसे तो वो कुछ भी नहीं कर पाएगा ना, कोर्ट कभी भी कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा, क्योंकि ऐसे तो एक सेट ऑफ लिटिगेंट्स के साथ ही कोर्ट पूरी उम्र लगे रहेगा. अब ये तो ऑफ कोर्स यू नो दिस कैन नॉट बी डन, दिस इज नॉट डन, राइट. सो कंडीशन क्या क्या है? There have to be two suits. One is a previously instituted suit and then the second one is subsequently instituted suits. Answer में, object में, जैसे for example दो object, they are more than enough. अब आपके notes बन गए. Now whenever you are revising, सारे के सारी चीज़ें याद नहीं रहने वाली. ऑफ कोर्स नहीं है, याद रहेंगी, कोई बात नहीं। दो ऑब्जेक्ट, दो कंडीशन, दो इंग्रेडिएंट तो दे सकते हैं, दे सकते हैं कि नहीं दे सकते, मिनिमम मिनिमम, और एक क्लासिक केस लॉ दे सकते हैं कि नहीं दे सकते। दैट इज जस्ट योर आंसर, दैट इज जस्ट, दैट इज ऑल। इसको ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड बनाने की जरूरत नहीं है कि मैं एक एक शब्द को ओपन अप करके डाइसेक्ट करके उस पर PhD। टाइम कहाँ है आपके पास, टाइम कहाँ है इतना लिखने का, बाकी आंसर्स करने हैं कि नहीं करने। तो जो बेस्ट पॉसिबल आंसर है उसको प्रेजेंट करना है। सो इन्हीं लेक्चर्स के द्वारा आपकी सारी मेंस की, प्री की सारी इकट्ठी तैयारी हो जा रही है ना जी। तो ये दिमाग में रखना है कि उसकी टेंशन नहीं लेनी। सो आई ऑल्सो यूज टू बी वेरी वेरी अर्लियर कि यार ये छूट गया वो छूट गया, नहीं, बेस्ट प्रेजेंटेशन देनी है कि भाई ये तो मैं बताकर आऊंगा या आऊंगी ही, बाकी जो होगा सो देखेंगे। हाँ, लाइक इफ यू पिक अप कमेंट्रीज नाउ ऑन फॉर एग्जांपल the commentary that I usually refer to has like 300 odd pages on res judicata and res subjudice। खत्म कब होगा जी, आंसर और लिखने हैं कि नहीं लिखने, राइट। सो कंडीशंस बता देंगे, ऑब्जेक्ट बता देंगे, ठीक है जी, और इंग्रेडिएंट बता देंगे, और एक क्लासिक केस लॉ कॉन्सेप्ट के ऊपर आंसर खत्म। जहां पे फॉर एग्जांपल फिक्शन बेस्ड आंसर आया, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल सिचुएशन बेस्ड आंसर आया, जैसे डीजेएस के अंदर सिचुएशन एक्सप्लेन करके अगर उस पर रेस जुडिकाटा अप्लाई हो रहा है, ऑब्जेक्ट बता देंगे, कंडीशन सेटिस्फाई हो रही है, इंग्रेडिएंट बता देंगे, सेक्शन नंबर बता देंगे, बात खत्म, और डिसीजन दे देंगे, क्वेश्चंस टू बी डिसाइडेड वगैरह। आई विल मेक यू practice those when we get to overall। if you are in the online judiciary batch, then we'll go into the mains answer writing practice। if you are only in the CPC course, then we'll limit ourselves to the subject in your course, because जो मैं अभी जो बात कर रहा हूँ that is primarily for the entirety of the judiciary batch। all right, so conditions is two suits, one is previously instituted, the second is subsequently instituted। all right, then there is matter in issue, it has to be directly and substantially in issue, it has to be between the same parties or their representatives। all right, एंड बाकी आई थिंक ये तीन चीज़ें तो आप बता ही देंगे, बाकी मैंने सोचा था कि पहले लिख देता हूँ, बट हाउएवर लेट अस स्किप दैट नाउ। दिस प्रोविजन इज मैंडेटरी, दिस इज नॉट डायरेक्ट, दिस इज नॉट डिस्क्रिशनरी। In Manohar Lal Chopra versus Seth Hira Lal, this was said that this provision is mandatory, this is not discretionary, this is not directory। मतलब सिर्फ merely directory, क्योंकि काफ़ी प्रोविजन ऑफ CPC, जैसा कि अभी तक हम टोन ऑफ द लेक्चर्स के अंदर करते हैं कि प्रोसीजर इज जस्ट इज अ हैंडमेडन ऑफ जस्टिस, राइट, एंड जस्टिस इज नॉट अ मिस्ट्रेस ऑफ प्रोसीजर एक्सेट्रा, जो हमने अभी तक बात करी है। इन दिस केस हाउएवर we are strict about section 10। so section 10 does not take away the power of the court to examine the merits of the matter। it does not mean that anytime a plea of section 10 raised, you will just throw the matter out. As a judge, you will still look into it and you will be like, acha, let me just check what all is happening here. If the matter attracts section 10, well, then you allow the plea of res sub judice। all right, so the test is for applicability of section 10, ये जरूर लिख लेना बहुत, और इसको स्टार लगा के अपने आंसर में मेंशन करके भी आना। फॉर एप्लीकेबिलिटी ऑफ सेक्शन 10, decision in a previously instituted suit would operate as res judicata or not। so for example, let us say, now hear me out very very carefully, let us say, so you file one litigation, all right, so you file one litigation and then parallel mein there is another litigation now that you filed। the test is if res sub judice applies or not, कि अगर इसमें डिसीजन आ गया होता, फिक्शनल है, ये फिक्शनल है, सो वी आर अज्यूमिंग कि अगर इस वाली लिटिगेशन में डिसीजन आ गया होता, whether it would have served as res judicata on this or not। if it will serve as res judicata, अगर डिसीजन आ गया होता पहले, then res sub judice applies। hear me out again, if the decision in this fictional scenario, in this litigation, were to be delivered, if a decree were to be passed, would that decree serve as a res judicata in this fresh or parallel litigation that the litigants have filed? We will allow the plea of res sub judice। res judicata अभी हुआ नहीं है क्योंकि इसमें डिसीजन आया नहीं है, but however to calculate things, so res sub judice and res judicata, you can say they are parallel concepts, they are sister concepts, they are, you can say, two sides of the same coin। however लिखना मत मीन में प्लीज two sides of the same coin, क्योंकि वो legal scholars agree नहीं करेंगे, we are talking in layman terms here। alright, so if yes, the subsequent suit must be stayed, अगर पहले वाले में डिसीजन आ गया होता, अभी आया तो नहीं है, तो चेक कर लीजिए. सो यू एज अ जज आर चेकिंग कि अच्छा देयर इज अ प्रीवियस सूट एज वेल. ओके, इफ लेट अस से if you as a judge says कि अच्छा उसके अंदर अगर if a decision, a judgment were to come in this, or decree were to come in this, will that would have served res judicata in this? If yes, stay the suit. Stay the suit, let that litigation go on, let that reach its finality or conclusion, and then if that becomes the case, that previous litigation has reached its finality or conclusion, you will not need it. You will not need the fresh litigation, no, right? So hopefully this is now clear. Okay. Always write section 151. 151 में क्या है? Parallel of 482 CR4 CRPC पुरानी वाली, of course. अब जो नई वाली में जो नया सेक्शन जब ये लोग फाइनलाइज करेंगे तो रखना पड़ेगा. So section 151 of the CPC is saving of inherent power of courts. Nothing in this code rather shall be deemed to limit or otherwise affect the inherent power of the court. Nothing in this code, of course, includes section 10 and 11 to make such orders as may be necessary for the ends of justice to prevent abuse or process of the court. All right. So now in Jado Rai, Jado Rai versus Onkar Prasad, even where section 10 does not strictly apply, even where the court can still look into the possibility of applying section 10. That's just about it. So even if let us say the section 10 is not applying, the court can let us say strictly not applying, matlab technically it may be applying but strictly it is not applying. The court can use its power under section 151 to stay the suit. Alright, so section 151 को आप हमेशा जहां पे भी section 151 याद आए तो हमेशा आप लिख सकते हैं. Alright, a decree passed in contravention of section 10 is not a nullity and therefore cannot be disregarded in execution proceedings. ये fun fact लिख लीजिए, याद रह जाए तो पक्का आंसर में लिख लीजिएगा. Alright, तो इसको बेसिकली अलग अलग ये जो फीचर्स हैं रेस जुडिकाटा के भी हम फीचर्स करेंगे. सम सेलिएंट फीचर्स ऑफ रेस सब जुडिस आर बुलेट पॉइंट्स. ठीक है जी. ओके, नाउ इट कम रेस जुडिकाटा, ऑल्सो नोन एज रूल ऑफ कंक्लूसिवनेस ऑफ अ जजमेंट. What is the rule? Rule as to the points decided either of fact or of law or of fact and law in every subsequent suit between the same parties. Okay. So this is rule of conclusiveness of a judgment. एक जजमेंट ऑलरेडी आ गई है आपकी लिटिगेशन के अंदर, बार बार जख्म ना खोलें, दुखती रग पे हाथ रख देना. तो दुखती रग पे हाथ रख देना, अभी तो रग दुख रही है ना, तो दैट इज रेस सब जुडिस. लेकिन अगर रग ये दुखती रग पे हाथ रख दे, रग तो खत्म हो गई आपकी, मतलब अब वो मैटर खत्म हो चुका है. गड़े मुर्दे क्यों खाड़ रहे हो, फॉर्मली नोन एज रेस जुडिकाटा. कोर्ट इस पे बार बार डिसीजन नहीं देगा, ये निर्णय आ चुका है कि कोर्ट क्या चाहती है. आप कहें नहीं मैं तो कोर्ट से अग्री नहीं करता, अपील कर लीजिए. दोबारा लड़ाई क्यों कर रहे हैं? दोबारा लड़ाई जुडिशियल सिस्टम आपको नहीं करने देगा क्योंकि आप कतार में हैं. 5-10 करोड़ लोग ऑलरेडी खड़े हैं कि जज साहब मेरे को प्लीज न्याय दे दो, और ये दो पार्टी दोबारा उसी मैटर को, अरे नहीं दोबारा सुनो, मेरे भाई साहब मैं सुन के अपना निर्णय दे चुका हूँ, मेरा जुडिशियल टाइम कम है, पृथ्वी पे भी टाइम लिमिटेड है, इससे बेटर ये है कि मैं अपना काम करूँ और आगे बढ़ूँ. रेस जुडिकाटा और रेस सब जुडिस एक तरह से यही है. रेस सब जुडिस में कह रहे हैं तुम्हारा मामला चल रहा है ना, पहले चल रहा है ना, उसको पहले खत्म होने दो, तब तक ये वाले पे स्टे लगा देता हूं. डिसमिस इसलिए नहीं कर रहा कि क्या पता उसमें क्या हो जाए, तो देखते हैं उसमें क्या होगा, उस हिसाब से हम इस वाले में चलेंगे, लेकिन ये तब तक स्टेड है जब तक उसमें निर्णय नहीं आता. रेस जुडिकाटा में ये है कि उसमें निर्णय आ चुका है ना भाई साहब, आया ना, देखो आ गया ना, अब दोबारा यहां पर क्यों खड़े हो, ऊपर चले जाओ, अपील में चले जाओ. आपको हम नहीं पसंद आ रहे, आप अपील में चले जाओ. मतलब हम नहीं पसंद आ रहे, होपफुली लेक्चर आपको पसंद आ रहे होंगे, लेकिन कोर्ट कह रहा है कि आपको हम नहीं पसंद आ रहे, कोई बात नहीं, आप ऊपर चले जाओ ना, उसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम है आपको. ठीक है जी. ओके, once the matter is decided, the competent court will, no party can be permitted to reopen it in subsequent litigation. Hopefully this is clear. ex captio res judicata, EXCAPTIO res judicata in Roman law is a defendant could successfully contest a suit by plaintiff on this plea. So now this doctrine has been, well, it has been accepted by mostly all legal systems. So इसका जो related maxim है that is ex captio res judicata, और उसका मतलब है, और ये आपने res judicata जब भी आप लिखें लिखकर आना ही आना है, that is one suit and one decision is enough for any single dispute. All right. Now the classic case law is Satyadhan Ghoshal, Satyadhan Satyadhan Ghoshal versus Deoran DEOR and अच्छा Deorjan Devi, अच्छा DEORJINDEBI. Alright, AIR 1960, SC 1941. Just giving you the citation in case in नामों में हल्का सा बहुत गड़बड़. And Justice Das Gupta observed, the principle of res judicata is based on the need of giving finality to judicial decisions. Of course, there are endless such observations. However, याद रह जाए तो लिख दीजिएगा. ये वाली लाइन अगर मान लो वहाँ पे एग्जाम में प्रेशर में यार कौन था, कौन सा जज था, कुछ नहीं, कोई बात नहीं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. अगर केस लॉ का नाम लिया जाए सत्यधन घोषाल वर्सेस ये दियोर्जन देवी, मान लेते हैं केस लॉ भी भूल गए, हो सकता है भाई इतने सारे केस लॉ रटने है ना जी, मान लेते हैं ये भी भूल गए, कोई बात नहीं. It has been observed by the apex court. Be smart about it. The principle of res judicata is based on the need of giving finality to judicial decisions. In a number of decisions by the Supreme Court, it has been observed. Spin it around. See, you cannot be distressed in the exam that अरे वो याद नहीं आ रहा. ठीक है, of course अब वो स्मोक बॉल जैसा क्लासिक केस याद नहीं आ रहा तो मुसीबत है. अब ऐसे तो बहुत सारे हैं ना, तो ये याद आ गया तो बहुत बल्ले बल्ले, नहीं आया तो कोई बात नहीं, बल्ले बल्ले की बजाय जैसे सब लोग ऐਵੇਂ कोई भी डांस कर देते हैं. लेकिन ये तो कुछ ऐसे ये वाली चीज़ होपफुली याद रह जाए. अगर ये नहीं भी याद है तो चलता है मुझे. ओके. But however, that doesn't mean that it is very less important. It is still important. All right. So res is the subject matter in or the dispute. Judicata is, it has been adjudged, ed, it has been decided, and it has been adjudicated. All right. So ये decide हो चुका है. आप यहाँ पे क्यों खड़े हैं? All litigation must sooner or later come to an end. That is one of the principal objects of res judicata is all litigation must sooner or later come to an end. Once it has come to an end, we will not allow you to keep on reopening it. It is as simple as that. So the doctrine of res judicata is based on ये तीनों maxims जरूर के जरूर लिख कर आने हैं. Nemo debet bis vexari, that is, and pro una. So nemo debet, NEMO, debet DEBET, BIS vexari, VEXARI, pro PRO, una UNA, ET, and eadem causa, CAUSA, causa भी बोल सकते हैं. अगर इंग्लिश में causa, right? It will become very fancy like causa. But in Latin, the pronunciation will be causa. So I'm not pronouncing it incorrectly, all right? So et eadem causa is no man should be vexed twice for the same cause. This will help you in your pre-K exam as well. Interest republicae and ut sit finis litium. That is, it is in the interest of the state that litigation must come to an end. If you are unsure about the spellings, just go on Google, interest republicae ut and sit finis litium डाल देंगे तो it will give you the correct maxim as well. All right. And res judicata pro veritate, that is PRO veritate is VERITATA, occipitur, OCCIPUTUR is a judicial decision must be accepted as correct. All right. तो ये तीन चीजें आपने लिख लेनी है. So leading case law as in पुराना वाला, पुराने टाइम का Duchess of Kingston case या Kingston तो नहीं होगा because it specifically says stone. Sir William de Grey mentioned that the judgment of court of concurrent jurisdiction directly upon the point is a plea or a bar between the same parties upon same matters in another court. Judgment of court of exclusive jurisdiction is a plea or a bar between the same parties the same matter in another court, right? Can skip in writing the answer because I don't think that you will have the time to open the answer so much. But however, if you do have the time, if you do remember it, please go ahead and write it. Absence of such a doctrine, like, and ye zarur likhna hai, absence of such a doctrine, let us say res judicata were not there will be no end to litigation. People will just keep on exploiting the judicial system for their own sake till the time that they get favorable relief from the court. So to prevent the abuse of the process of the court and to prevent or preserve the judicial time, we have doctrines of res judicata and well res sub judice also in place. Okay. Now, when you explain res judicata or when you explain res sub judice, it will be a master stroke to write this in your answers. Always do try to explain to the examiner via illustrations. Whenever you are, let us say, explaining a concept, let us say that you explain estoppel or you explain a basic core concept of law, that is ad idem, try to put in an illustration if you have time. So an illustration, all right. So A sues B for breach of contract. The suit is dismissed, and in subsequent suit A files a subsequent suit for the same for breach of contract. This is barred, the subsequent suit is barred by the doctrine of res judicata. Bas itna hi. Just explain this and you will be doing very well in your mains. Alright. Second, अच्छा आप चूज कर सकते हैं, मैं आपको सारे लिखवा रहा हूं, आप चूज करिए कि जौन सा मर्जी आपके दिमाग में आएगा आप वो लिखिएगा. Now A files a petition under Article 226 in the High Court for reinstatement in service, and let us say that the petition has been dismissed. A is barred from filing the same petition under Article 32 or going for a civil suit in any other court. This gives you a hint as well. Are writs limited by res judicata or not? We'll come to that. However, ये illustration लिख लीजिए. I think you pretty much now have the answer. A and B file for partition for joint family, and the joint family property, and the partition suit is dismissed, and then they file another one, as in A files another one, that will be barred by res judicata. Just explain, even by way of one illustration, just explain it. You will do very well in your mains. Alright, so the basis of res judicata is public interest. It is not absolute justice. Public interest requires an end to every litigation. So not every judicial decision can be absolutely 101% correct, right? However, for the sake of public interest, you have to let go of some things, no? वो जैसे एक शेर भी है ना कि तेरे नसीब की बारिशें किसी और छत पे बरस गई, मेरे दिले बेखबर मेरी बात सुन उसे भूल जा, राइट? रेस जुडिकाटा भी वहीं पे कहीं पे ऐसा ही कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट आप समझ लो. The basis of res judicata is public interest. It's not absolute justice, because the public interest requires an end to every litigation. And because if it were absolute justice, तो फिर हम उस मैटर को तब तक देखते रहेंगे जब तक उसमें absolute justice नहीं होगा. However, लेकिन कोर्ट्स के पास इतना टाइम ही कहाँ पर. क्लासिक केस लॉ इज दरियाओ वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ यूपी. जब भी रेस जुडिकाटा को छेड़े दरियाओ वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ यूपी आपने मेंशन करना ही करना है, क्योंकि अदरवाइज एग्जामिनर आपके नंबर काट लेगा. दरियाओ वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ यूपी के बिना आंसर नहीं कंप्लीट हो सकता. बात करूं. So petitioners, they filed writs in Allahabad High Court. They were dismissed, and they went to the Supreme Court under Article 32, and same relief and same grounds were dismissed. And the Supreme Court observed in this case that it is in the interest of the public at large that a finality should attach to the binding decisions pronounced by courts of competent jurisdiction. All right. So this was observed in Dariao versus State of UP, and it was also held. Of course, it was held in other decisions as well. I'll give you the decision जो जिसमें पहली बार ये decide किया गया था that res judicata applies to writs as well. Just hang on for 1 second. इस case में this was absolutely clear that once the petitions are dismissed under 226, you cannot approach the Supreme Court for the same grounds, basically same relief and same grounds. All right. And 32 is given where? Part 3. Right, heart and soul of the Constitution. The right to move the Supreme Court is in itself is a fundamental right. All right. Now res judicata versus res sub judice में एक ही main मुद्दा है जो अलग है. That is matter adjudicated upon in res judicata versus matter pending trial in res sub judice. Res judicata bars trial because it is already decided. The res sub judice के अंदर the previous suit is pending decision. रेस जुडिकाटा इज इन पार्ट कनेक्टेड टू लिस पेंडेंस. मैंने लिस पेंडेंस पे पहले यूट्यूब पे बहुत पहले एक बहुत अच्छा लेक्चर था. आई जस्ट अटैच इट एज द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर ऑफ टीपीए लिस पेंडेंस. वहाँ से एक बार रिवाइज भी हम कर लेंगे. एंड उसके अंदर क्लासिक केस लॉ भी मैंने एक्सप्लेन करा. आई वोंट गेट इनटू द निटी-ग्रिटीज ऑफ लिस पेंडेंस राइट नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स दिस इज सीपीसी, दिस इज नॉट टीपीए. But Lisp pendants is given enshrined where, in which section? Anytime that I want to, say Lisp pendants, it is section 52 TPA 1882. Always in your mains का answer, write the name of the barrack. TPA ना लिख देना please. और उसके आगे उसका ईयर लिखना, ट्रांसफर प्रॉपर्टी एक्ट 1882. ये सब कुछ मैटर करता है. ये सब कुछ वो है कि आधा आधा नंबर है कि किस की शर्ट जो पहनी थी वो प्रेस हुई थी कि नहीं हुई थी. मतलब अगर आप मान लेते हैं आप डेट वेट पे जा रहे हैं, आधे आधे नंबरों की गेम है, तो कृपया करके ईयर जरूर लिखेंगे. ऑलराइट. सो सेक्शन 52 इज ट्रांसफर ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी पेंडिंग एंड रिलेटिंग दैट ड्यूरिंग द पेंडेंसी इन एनी कोर्ट. अच्छा, I don't think that I need to enter into. Okay, now we go for res judicata versus withdrawal of a suit. Now withdrawal is given in order 23. So one more order जो आपके पास प्रकट हो गया आपकी लिस्ट में जाने के लिए. Order 23 says withdrawal of suit or abandonment of part of claim. We'll just open this up for the purpose of prelims. At any time after the institution of the suit, the plaintiff may, as against all or any of the defendants, abandon his suit or abandon a part of his claim. शर्त क्या है उसकी? Now there are two ways to do this. An application for leave under proviso to the subrule 1 shall be accompanied by an affidavit of the next friend, and also if the minor where the court is satisfied that a suit must fail by reason of some formal defect, or that there are sufficient grounds for the allowing the plaintiff to institute a fresh suit for the subject matter of suit or part of claim. So can a plaintiff withdraw and file a fresh suit? It may, quote, on such terms as things fit, grant the plaintiff permission to withdraw from such suit or such part of the claim with liberty to institute a fresh suit in respect of the subject matter of such suit. So wherein the plaintiff has taken the permission of the court, you are allowed. So open your Barak to Order 23 and read this along. Where the plaintiff abandons any suit or part of claim under subrule 1 or withdraws from a suit or part of claim without the permission referred to in subrule 3, he shall be liable for such costs as the court may award and shall be precluded from instituting any fresh suit in respect of any subject matter. So if you do this, if you withdraw the suit, if you abandon your claim, with the permission of the court, you are allowed, the court may allow you to file a fresh suit. However, if you don't comply with this, you may be precluded. So this is, what is the topic? What are we discussing exactly here? We are discussing how res judicata is different from withdrawal. This will not serve as in this, you will not be allowed to file a fresh suit because you fail to comply with the provision of the court. Res judicata is, there has been a previously instituted suit जिसमें decision आ चुका है. So the main difference is in the withdrawal of the suit, wherein you didn't take the permission of the court and now you're barred. It is not the same as res judicata. So even though the effect may be the same, that you're not allowed to file a fresh suit only. However, in withdrawal, you didn't follow the provisions. You had an option, but you ran away, right? So that is how it is different. So order 23 में क्या दे रखा? Order 23 rule 1 is about withdrawal or of suit or abandonment of part of claim. So can you abandon a part of your claim? Yeah, sure enough, comply with the file an application under order 23 rule 1 and you will be basically, मतलब काम हो जाएगा आपका. However, अब इसके अंदर pre के अंदर जो question आता है, how will this be done? In one case where the court is satisfied that you are, you're complying with the provisions, great. The court can give you the liberty to institute a fresh suit in respect of the subject matter of such suit, wherein the plaintiff withdraws without the permission referred, the court can bar you from filing a fresh suit on the same subject matter. Now res judicata versus estoppel. So estoppel, res judicata कह सकते हैं आप that res judicata is technically speaking estoppel by verdict or estoppel by judgment. I won't get into the nitty-gritty details of estoppel right now, because that we'll cover out in the Evidence Act. Now there is something called as rule of constructive res judicata. Now rule of constructive res judicata is enshrined in explanation 4 of section 11. Pause the lecture here, read explanation 4 before I get into what is constructive res judicata, wherein constructive का जो word है, word से जो मतलब जो होता है, constructive really means is कि ये पूरा सूरा तो नहीं है, लेकिन हम इसको we'll just read into it, you can say we'll just construct the building where none exists and will still stop you. Example से clear होगा. I'll take up a case law and give you an example of constructive res judicata. Alright, so but ये याद रखना है, where is it given? It is given in explanation 4 of section 11 of the CPC. Rule of estoppel और res judicata में क्या अंतर है? Res judicata is basically based on the decision of the court. Estoppel is based on the act of parties. Res judicata is based on public policy that we will not allow multiplicity of litigations. In this estoppel, we will not allow multiplicity of representations. All right. Then this ousts the jurisdiction of a court to hear any matter. This is a rule of evidence. This is primarily related to the parties that भाई किसी दिन तुम कुछ कहते हो, किसी दिन तुम कुछ कहते हो. We will not allow you to make U-turns on your statements, because based on your statement someone has already done something. We'll come back to estoppel when the time is right, as in evidence. And then it binds to judgment, it binds the party to their previous statement in court. That is the main difference between res judicata and estoppel. All right. Now, what is the difference between, not exactly the difference, how are res judicata and the doctrine of stare decisis, which is given in Article 141 of the Constitution. Pause the lecture here, go to Article 141 given in Part 5, Chapter 4, Article 141, the Union Judiciary के अंदर. The doctrine of stare decisis. Stare decisis means to stand by decided cases to uphold precedent. So the lower courts, they are bound by the judgment of the Supreme Court. That is where doctrine of stare decisis comes in. All right. So they are pretty much, these doctrines are the members of the same family. The stare decisis, doctrine of stare decisis even binds strangers and courts to the judgment of the apex court. Well, and res judicata, of course, it operates on the same parties claiming the same relief after their previous suit has been already decided. ये जरूर mention करके आना, section 11 is not exhaustive, so the courts can of course open it up with its interpretations. Narayan Chettiar judicial interpretations versus Annamalai Chettiar Chettiar, ये आपने ये वाला काम करना है. And matter and issue, what does matter and issue really mean? It means the rights litigated between parties. It can be an issue of fact, it can be an issue of law, it can be an issue of law and fact as mix. Now, matter and issue can be of various kinds. Matter and issue, the matter can be directly and substantially an issue. The matter can collaterally or incidentally be an issue. मतलब side ही हो गया matter. एक तो हो गया main मुद्दा और एक हो गया side से भी आ सकता है. Like for example, let us say that you are litigating over a property and उसके अंदर ट्यूब वेल पे भी लड़ाई झगड़ा है. तो ट्यूब वेल कैन बी, मतलब ट्यूब वेल अब किस केस से आएगी, विच इज इवन दो इज अटैच टू द प्रॉपर्टी, यू नो, it can be collaterally or incidentally. Achha, directly and substantially issue can be actually an issue and can be constructively an issue. So who will do this construction of the issue? Mainly up as Judge Saab. Now, constructive res judicata is given in explanation 4. Well, it is an artificial form of res judicata. So strictly the situation doesn't command res judicata. However, constructive res judicata में Judge Saab will read into the situation and apply the doctrine of res judicata and will not basically allow the fresh suit, right? That is what section 11 says. So instead of UP versus Nawab Hussain, now this is a very interesting case law. Constructive res judicata और किस तरीके समझ नहीं आएगा. Sub Inspector of Police was dismissed and was dismissed by the DIG. He challenged the dismissal in the High Court on the grounds that he was not given appropriate opportunity to be heard. And his petition was dismissed in the High Court. All right. So then he filed a suit. He raised an additional ground that DIG had no power to dismiss him. He didn't raise this ground in the original one. Now in the suit, he's coming at that DIG had no power to dismiss him. So state contended that constructive res judicata applies because this ground you could have raised there. Now intentionally you have not raised it there despite having full knowledge that you could have. अब ऐसे तो आप कोर्ट का टाइम खाते ही चले जाएंगे और आप कहेंगे नो लुक दैट मैटर वाज डिफरेंट, नाउ दिस न्यू वन इज डिफरेंट, आई हैव रेज्ड एडिशनल ग्राउंड्स. Sorry buddy, not allowed by you'll be barred by constructive res judicata. So state contended that, well, constructive res judicata will apply. The trial court plus first appellate court and even the High Court, they allowed that no res judicata is there, but Supreme Court allowed the appeal by state and say
Well, the plea could have been taken up by plaintiff in the writ. You already knew that such a ground could have been taken up in the writ. ऐसे तो आप आते ही रहेंगे और हम कुछ भी नहीं कर पाएंगे, हम कभी कुछ कर ही नहीं पाएंगे किसी का. तो इसीलिए plea could have been taken, right? Constructive res judicata will now apply. Even though technically speaking, very strictly speaking, by the law, by the letter of the law जाएंगे तो res judicata will not apply, of course, because he's coming in with different grounds in the second suit now. However, यहाँ पर ये जो चीज़ हमने जो करी है कंस्ट्रक्टिव रेस जुडिकाटा, कंस्ट्रक्टिव रेस जुडिकाटा हमेशा पूछता है कहाँ पे दे रखा है. That's explanation 4 to section 11. Just mark it out. Now, object of explanation 4 is it compels the parties to cut short the litigation by taking all grounds of attack or defense in one go. All right, which are available to them. ये चीज़ ये लाइन दोबारा लिख लीजिए. It compels constructive res judicata की जो doctrine है, it compels the parties to cut short the litigation by taking all grounds of attack or defense which are available to them, and always do right. Habeas corpus are exempt. Habeas corpus matters are exempt from res judicata. All right. Now we go to the classic case law. Acha, bail matters in some cases they have been declared to be exempt from the doctrine of res judicata. Why is habeas corpus exempt from res judicata? Because Article 21 is all about personal liberty, right? So tomorrow, let us say once habeas corpus is dismissed, and tomorrow you come out with new facts कि अरे वो जो अब सर कुछ और पता चला है. तो आर्टिकल 21 में जो आपकी जो लाइफ एंड आपकी जो पर्सनल लिबर्टी वाज इज गारंटीड एंड नॉट बी टेकन विदाउट procedure established by law, right? And that word liberty also exists in the preamble. So our law is very much centered around the issue of personal liberty. Personal liberty is very important to specifically the Indian legal system. तो उसके अंदर कल को नया फैक्ट हो रहा है कि अरे उस टाइम पे तो ये पता नहीं था, आपने तो डिसमिस कर दिया. मैं बिल्कुल ही नए फैक्ट लिख रहा हूँ या कोई नए ग्राउंड लिख रहा हूँ कि अरे वो पुलिस वाला तो मेरे कोई पुराना दुश्मन निकला हमारे खानदान का जो जिन्होंने हमारे को उठा रखा है इलीगली. So then if the state, if the courts dismiss the petition, of course it will be injustice. So that cannot be done. So on that reason, habeas corpus is exempt from res judicata. I did a lecture long back on this on YouTube. I'll attach this in the course, that why is habeas corpus exempt from res judicata. All right. So the classic case law is Devilal Modi versus STO. तो taxation matters के ऊपर है. Devilal Modi versus STO के अंदर ये हुआ था. तो वैलिडिटी ऑफ ऑर्डर ऑफ असेसमेंट के ऊपर बात हुई थी. इट वाज ऑर्डर ऑफ असेसमेंट, आपके टैक्स के ऊपर ऑर्डर ऑफ असेसमेंट आया that we want to assess your income correctly. So it was challenged under 220, basically filed under 226. It was dismissed on merits. Appeal went to SC, dismissed on merits. Again, the writ petition in High Court was made on additional grounds. So the petitioner again approached the High Court. The High Court again dismissed on merits. Supreme Court said this petition is barred by constructive res judicata because additional grounds you could have taken up when you had the opportunity in the original writ as well. Alright. So issue of fact पे तो clearer res judicata applies. Issue of law पे the situation was unclear. And well, mixed issue of law fact पे भी clear था कि res judicata applies. But issue of law पे in Mathura Prasad versus Dosibai NB, Dossibai NB, GG Bhoy, JEE into 2, BHOY, it was clear that res judicata applies even in the issue of law as well. सिर्फ अपने notes में लिख लीजिएगा. I don't think a specific question will ever apply on this. Now, does res judicata apply on public interest litigations? If the public interest litigation was bona fide, well, the court has to save its time because that is the object of res judicata. So of course it applies as long as the condition is if PIL was bona fide. However, if it were not, if the previous PIL, this ऊपर already decision आ चुका है, was like done with you can say evil intent or it was fraudulent, etc., that was not good litigation, then of course the court can hear a similar PIL on the same issue again. लेकिन अगर पहले decision आ चुका and that PIL was bona fide, that it was true, it was genuine, then the court will not listen. So explanation 6 applies on PIL. The doctrine of res judicata applies on public interest litigations. Public interest litigations were appointed by Bhagwati, Krishna Iyer. Which of the following was not a CJI? Krishna Iyer was never the CJI, well, as in was not one of CJI. Green judge, Kuldeep Singh, right? याद आ रहा है कुछ कुछ. Industrial adjudication disputes per res judicata applies? Yes, it applies. However, it does not apply on taxation. So whenever you're writing the answers, just make bullet point. Does it apply on PL? Yes. Does it apply on industrial adjudication? Yes. Does it apply on taxation matters? No. What is the reason? So every year of assessment is completely separate. So for example, let us say that you challenge 1 year key assessment and then next year you challenge another year key assessment. They are both completely separate cases. Previous सूट जो आपने लगाया वो totally अलग मुद्दा है इससे, because आपकी income and circumstances change every financial year. तो ये वाले जो for example जो next financial year में आपने जो litigation लगाई है वो बिल्कुल अलग है इससे. So doctrine of res judicata does not apply to taxation assessment matters under the income tax tribunals. All right. In criminal proceedings, yes, of course it applies. In writs, for the first time, the Supreme Court held that the res judicata applies to writs under 32 was in MSM Sharma versus Dr. Shri Krishna. Alright, ये case law लिख लीजिए, prelims में पूछ लेते हैं. Alright. Constructive res judicata, does it apply to writs? Yes, it applies to writs. We saw it in Daryao versus State of UP as well. Achha. And constructive res judicata applies to writs. For the first time, it was decided in amalgamated court Coalfields versus Janpad Sabha. Alright, amalgamated Coalfields Limited versus Janpad Sabha. Ex parte decree mein res judicata applies. Yes, because well, if the defendant is not showing up, well, if the court has passed a decree, it is absolutely valid and it will serve as res judicata in any fresh suit. Does it apply in withdrawal of suit? No, of course, because res judicata is different from withdrawal of suit. Withdrawal of suit is given where? Order 23. Alright, interim orders. If interim orders interim order may, let us say, due to an injunction or due to some order, a part of the controversy has been decided on, a part of the res, as strictly speaking, has been decided on, res judicata will apply. Right, so in interim orders, if and only if the part of controversy is being decided by the interim order, res judicata applies. ठीक है जी. और एक just maxim मेरी commentary में निकला आया था, so I thought they'll just add it here only. Actus curiae, CURIAE, neminem, NEMINEM, and gravabit, GRAVABIT. इसका मतलब होता है an act of court shall harm no one. ऐसे ही just ancillary, unrelated, जो भी मुझे जहाँ पे भी अगर टकर गया, so I do not leave the opportunity to leave this. Just add it to your legal maxim list, and you will be doing great in your exam. So hopefully res judicata and res sub judice का मामला आपको समझ में आ गया है, and yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, I wish you all the very best, and now let us move on to foreign judgment. ठीक है जी, take care, bye.